We just had a plane crash into Upper 4 of the World Trade Center, transmit a second alarm, and start relocating companies into the
area. Giuliani, take one, come Mark.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Rudolph Giuliani, former mayor of New York City. On September 11, 2001, I began the day with a breakfast with my counsel, Dennison Young, and with a close friend. And at the conclusion of the breakfast, one of my police officers, who was part of my security detail, Patty Verone, came in and whispered something to Denny. And I could see from Denny's face it was a problem. And Denny leaned over and he said, "There's a terrible fire at the World Trade Center." And she told me it was hit by a twin-engine plane. And we got to get down there right away. And we got in the car. When we turned to go on to Fifth Avenue, Denny and I could see intermittently the towers. And at various points, we put the siren on. At various points, it looked terrible. And at one point, we both commented, that looks worse than a twin-engine plane. I passed St. Vincent's Hospital, which is in the Village. Now you're about 2 miles away. And I saw the doctors and the nurses and the stretchers on the street. And I said, they're preparing for a big, big disaster. And I actually called Bernie. Bernie Carrick was the police commissioner. And Bernie said, "It's a terrorist attack, another plane just hit. I'm pulling up." I got out of the car. Joe Loda told me there are a lot of casualties already. And he said, people are jumping from the windows. Father Judge came past me, and I said, how is it? And he said, just went like this. That's the last time I saw him. And I grabbed Bernie's arm and I said, "Bernie, this one's beyond us. We don't have a plan for this, and we can't let him down." I then walked up to the fire department command post, and I said, "Pete, can we get anybody up there?" And then he looked at me, looked at Bernie, and he said, "My guys can get everybody below the fire." And I said to Bernie, "Okay, let's go back and let's call the White House." Pick up the phone, it's the White House secretary, and all of a sudden the building starts to shake. The desk starts to shake, the phone goes out, and I hear someone yell out, "The tower came down." Then we went out and had the first press conference and explained what had happened, the best you can explain it. And I remember saying at the end of it, "This is terrible. Could be one of the worst things that's happened in the city, but people have gone through worse than this, and they've come through it. And if other people can come through it, New Yorkers can come through it. And so we're Americans. These are things we get through." The thing that meant the most to me was the help we got from all over the country. I don't think there's a state that didn't send things to us. And what you're making us feel is the whole country is behind us. Everybody put their personal things aside, whether it was political, it was America as I was taught America should be. There was no well, we're gonna have a Republican event and a Democratic event, and an equal number of both. When my firefighters go into a fire, they don't ask if people are white or black. All these things, we've figured out how to separate ourselves. I mean, Bernie said this to me. Bernie said, it's a shame that they only realize how important all these people are when so many are lost. He said, but I think they finally get it. They finally get what the uniformed services do. They put their lives at risk. 3 or 4 years later, the 9/11 Commission, in their report, said that the fire department and the police department saved virtually 100% of the people. They put it a little differently. That could be saved. If I could talk to Pete, I would say to Pete, I know you saw this in heaven, and you told me your guys were going to get out everybody below the fire. So Pete, you accomplished what you promised me you would do. And the reason it's the number that it is because your men gave their lives I probably did 100 eulogies. The hardest thing was to explain it to the kids. Not only is he in another place, but he's with you. He's in your mind, always. They can't take that away from you. But remember, your father was a hero. Never forget